There's a new street fighter on your windowsill. The weapon is peace, the word is...
Hello there, gang, and welcome to another episode of Displaying Model Behaviour, the Earth's mightiest action figure video podcast. So take off your pants, crack a beer, and let's talk toys. Let's talk how to build a classic Spider-Man collection with Marvel Legends. The figures are all out there, but some of them have been out there for a while, and they're getting quite expensive. So I'm going to give you some idea of where to get them, how much they might cost, and more importantly, cheaper alternatives and different ways you can go about it so that you can build an awesome Spider-Man collection without breaking the bank. So let's talk about it. But before we do that, guys, we have changed location. Why? Because I want to tell you about the sponsor for this video. And while I'm doing it, I'm going to show you how I build my Spider-Man display. Guys, this video is sponsored by Boxu. This is a Japanese snack box subscription service, and I could not imagine a better company to be sponsoring this channel. As many of you know, I used to live in Japan and I miss it so much. One of the things I miss so much is the food, and Boxu will deliver a box of authentic Japanese snack foods to your door, whether it's a one-off box or a full-on monthly subscription service. This thing is so wonderful because it's not just food, it's a full-on experience. Every box is themed to a certain style, and they come with these beautiful little kind of programs, like brochures that take you through all the different foods they've included, where they've come from, what they're made of, how it's all put together. I love this so much. I used to buy these in the Family Mart. I'm so excited to be diving into this. Seasons of Japan is the first box that they kind of send out when you start this subscription. And I'm so excited to go through and just have all these snacks that I've not had for years. I'm gonna do a separate unboxing, tasting video because I'm so excited about this. Guys, if you want to get yourselves a Boxu, be it a one-off or a full subscription, you can do so by clicking the link in the description below. And if you use the code DAVID10, you can get 10% off your first subscription. So guys, go check them out. Honestly, I cannot recommend these guys enough. I am so happy to be working with this company. Look at this big old smile on my face. It's just, I've tried a couple of the snacks already because I couldn't resist. And I was like, oh, it tastes of home. I mean, home away from home, but still. Go check them out. Boxu, thank you so much for sponsoring the show. Guys, let's go with how to put together a Spider-Man display. I'm going to eat some of these now. Now, what I'm going to do just for fun is look at these figures on eBay, because you can get them all on eBay. You can get anything on eBay, but sometimes the asking prices are insane. But what I'm also going to do is look at the sold prices and work out an average so you can see what the figures really go for. But it's fun to see what some of the ridiculous prices can actually add up to by the end of this video, because you can find everything on eBay, just whether or not you want to pay for it. As the Stereophonics said, you can have it all if you like, and you can pay for it the rest of your life. So first up, we need Spider-Man, of course, and the go-to Spider-Man in Marvel Legends right now is the retro Spider-Man. Fantastic figure, but he is quite hard to find now. Looking on eBay, there's one mint in box, perfect condition, for £125. So you don't need to do that. You can buy him loose, give or take, for about 50. Or if you want a cheaper option, you could always pick up the new What If Spider-Man. Yes, he's not 616, but the costume actually, I think, looks fantastic. It's pretty much exactly 616, but with a couple of very small little black markings, like MCU style. I would really recommend that. If you want a Spider-Man figure for about 20 bucks, he'd be a great one to go for. Or, because the new retro one is out, the Pizza Spider-Man, who used to be like the go-to Spider-Man, is going down in price now. So if you want to look on eBay for a Pizza Spider-Man, especially loose, you could probably pick him up quite cheap. Or, if you want to be a little bit more patient and you don't mind kind of crossing the streams as far as different lines are concerned, fingers crossed. This might be the year where we get Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man figures. And those costumes, they're full-on 616 kind of style. So if you wanted to, you could always put those in your comic book display. And I promise you now, the Marvel Legends police will not be knocking on your door to tell you that your display isn't right. If it looks good to you, well, that's good enough for me.
What'll it cost, man? What'll it cost?
Then we have Spider-Man's arch nemesis, the Green Goblin. And now this guy, he is a little hard to find as well. He came out in the same retro wave as Retro Spider-Man. He's a bit cheaper though. You could probably find him on eBay for about $35, $40. However, if you want a different version, there was another Goblin who came out several years beforehand, and he is almost identical but with a much darker color scheme, which a lot of folks would say actually is a bit cooler, a bit meaner looking. You could probably pick him up for about $25, but if you want the bright, vibrant green, then you want that retro one, but he is going for a slightly higher price. Or, if you want to be a little bit crazy, you can pick him up on eBay for the bargain price of $100. Also though, there are some older Toy Biz Green Goblins who actually still look the business. So you've got a lot of different options for Goblin. And of course, go onto those Facebook groups. Talk to other collectors. See who's selling what. The Facebook groups are a fantastic resource. But if you do buy from them, make sure you use PayPal and keep yourself covered, because it's all about, building a good collection while also protecting your back as well. But yeah, there's a lot of options for Green Goblin, so you shouldn't have too much trouble finding him for your collection.
Then we have Dr. Octopus.
I always do Doc Ock with a Germanic kind of accent. I shouldn't say German accent because honestly, it sounds nothing like a German accent. But Germanic, that gives me a bit more sort of leeway. That could be any number of places. But Doc Ock, he's the one who you might actually struggle with a little bit. He's a bit of a bugger, quite frankly. He's quite difficult to find. The classic Marvel Legends Doc Ock came out about 4 years ago, give or take, and he goes for quite a lot of money now. If you wanted to buy him straight off on eBay, you'd probably be looking for somewhere between $75 and $100. It's just one of those things. He's kind of hard to find these days. And also the problem is there aren't many other versions or options. You'd have to go way, way back in the long ago to find another Marvel Legends Dr. Octopus. Now, the hope, fingers crossed, is that again, maybe we'll get an MCU Dr. Octopus from the new No Way Home film, but it's hard to say. But for Doc Ock, really, if you want a good-looking character, I think you're going to have to go for the modern Marvel Legends version. And with that in mind, I'd recommend, again, going to the Facebook groups, seeing what they're selling for. But honestly, I wish I could give you a better answer, but I think he probably will be expensive. He might be the most expensive one of the main core villains you're going to have to go for. We don't have to go to, and you don't have to go for that. Again, Marvel Legends Police, they're not going to be knocking on your door. You're fine. But yeah, if you want to pick him up, I would say you're looking at least probably about $70. Whew, okay, we can breathe a bit of a sigh of relief now because the next figure is the Vulture. And Vulture, he's actually not going crazy expensive at all. You can get the 616 Marvel Legends Vulture for about $20, $20 to $30, depending on whether or not he's mint, loose, in box, whatever. But he only came out a couple of years ago, and he's not a highly sought after character. So luckily, if you want to pick up Adrian Toomes, you can do for a pretty reasonable price. Even the buy it now on eBay, you're only looking for about $25 or so. So that's one that it's like, okay, I'm going to save some money on Vulture, so maybe I can invest that into a Dr. Octopus or a Retro Spider-Man. But don't rest easy for too long, because now we have the Lizard Build-A-Figure, and yeah, he's an expensive one, unfortunately. We haven't had another Marvel Legends Lizard since the Build-A-Figure, so now this guy's going for about $125, so that is pretty high-end. One nice thing to consider, though, is that we may be getting a new one soon. This is a great time to start collecting Spider-Man because we've got the retro wave and it's running and going. I think that we will be seeing maybe a deluxe Lizard, kind of like the Kingpin, on a card back box very soon. So fingers crossed. If not, though, if you really want one now, but you don't necessarily have that much disposable income, there is a select Lizard you can pick up. And he's not great, in my opinion, but he fills that slot pretty darn well. Or you could go back in time and get one of the Toy Biz Lizards, who again, I think actually looks really decent. So if you don't mind swapping over lines and different waves and different production companies, honestly, that can make a really interesting display. My Jim Lee X-Men is all mixed up with Legends and Mafex and Mezco, and I love that. So don't be shy about looking outside the Hasbro box. But again, you can relax a little bit now because we have Electro. And Electro is another one who is going for pretty much retail price at the moment. Maybe a squeak more, but not crazy. He came out again in the same retro wave as Green Goblin and SpiderMan. Those ones are very sought after. But good old Max Dillon, he's still going for about $25 to $30, again, depending on the condition. But still, if you wanted to get a different version, there's another Electro who came out several years ago with a more modern look, and he's got either the electric mask or a bald head. He looks really cool, so you can actually mix it up if you want. I'm kind of a classic guy, so I'm going for the retro Electro, which just gives me the chance to say retro Electro. But still, you can pick him up pretty easily. But now we got a big expensive one.
It's the Rhino!
That was an okay Rhino voice. The Rhino, very similar to the Lizard, so he was a Build-A-Figure who came out a long time ago, and we've not had one since. The good news, again though, is they are really hinting, like very hard in the Hasbro live streams, that we are going to get a retro Rhino. They've been dropping seriously heavy hints, so I think he'll be the next big bulky deluxe retro figure. So don't worry too much. I'm even tempted, I've got to admit. I'm tempted to sell my Build-A-Figure Rhino now, get like a few shamolias for them, so that I can then just buy the cheaper deluxe one. But Hasbro have hurt us in the past by giving us a new version of a character, and it's not as good as the original one. And with that in mind, I'm going to talk about the next entry on this list. And that would be Sandman, yet another Build-A-Figure. If you wanted a perfect time to start collecting Spider-Man, it would have probably been like 2015 or so when they started doing these figures. Sandman, yeah, the Build-A-Figure, he goes for a lot. If you go onto eBay, I can see one for about $110, and that's like, buy it now. But you don't have to do that, because you don't have to do anything. No one's forcing you. Again, the Marvel Legends police, they're a very lazy bunch. Honestly, I wonder if they're even doing house calls anymore. But yeah, you can get a brand new Sandman from the retro wave for just over $20. Honestly, I think he's not as good as the big, huge, intimidating Build-A-Figure. But still, if you want that figure to fill the collection and have Sandman in place, boom, he's right there. And he's not a bad figure at all. It's just difficult when you compare him to the big bad Build-A-Figure. But the brand new retro wave Sandman, you can pick him up straight away, retail price, happy days. Now we got a bit more of a modern Spider-Man character. It is
Venom.
And Venom, he's got a lot of different versions you can go for, so it's whatever flavor Venom you want to have. I'm using the classic, sort of what I feel is the closest to the regular comic book version of Venom here. And he's going not crazy expensive. You can probably pick him up for about $30 or so. But also, if you wanted to, you could get the big deluxe version of Venom. And he's actually sometimes going cheaper than the smaller one. You can find him for around about $20. Or, of course, if you want a brand new figure, there's the animated version of Venom, who's been a little bit maligned in the past. Some people don't like the paint job, some people don't like the holes, but at the same time, he is a big, menacing-looking Venom, and there is a kind of a coolness factor there. But of course, he's a Hasbro exclusive, he's in the big cardboard box, and that jacks up the price quite a bit. I mean, he's going for quite a lot on eBay now. A lot of people snapped him up thinking he might be like a collector-type piece, and honestly, it's kind of working because he is being quite expensive. I would say if you want to find a cheap, like decent Venom, really the deluxe one might actually be the way to go. And then we can finish with a nice, readily available character, and a great one at that as well, the Shocker. Man, I love this figure. Such a highlight of the Spider-Man Retro Wave 2. Fantastic, and you can pick him up right now. No eBaying, no Facebook groups, no haggling, bargaining, or anything like that. Just go out and buy yourself a Shocker. Retail price about $22, and he's such a great figure. And of course, the final entry on this list, the absolute crown jewel of a Spider-Man display, the Retro Wave 2 Hobgoblin.
You serious?
Nah, I'm not serious. He's terrible.
See? That's how it feels.
Don't get cocky, Age of Apocalypse Cyclops. You're even worse. And folks, that does it for how you can build a Spider-Man retro villains display. And honestly, there are so many options I didn't even cover because the world is your oyster. I mean, also, Spider-Man has so many villains, it's wherever you want to draw the line. Because anyone could say, well, what about, normal Hobgoblin? What about Scorpion? What about all these different characters? Hey, include whoever you want. I gotta draw the line somewhere. Man, I got right the way to the end of the video and then realized that I hadn't included Mysterio, even though I put him in the display and meant to reference him. So yeah, get yourself a Mysterio. He was part of the original retro wave. You can probably get him for about $30, give or take. Or you could get the original one that came out with the Lizard wave, and he's probably even cheaper now since this guy hit the shelves. Probably about £20 or so, or $20 depending on where you are, or whatever currency you're using. Either way, go get yourself a Mysterio. But I hope this kind of helped. I think the bottom line is, don't pay crazy prices. Shop around, see what you can find. Go on the Facebook groups and protect yourself with PayPal as well. Make sure that you're looking after your own interests while doing a good deal. But guys, basically, have fun going out building a great Spider-Man collection. What other alternatives did I not include that I should have? What other versions of the characters or different toy lines or substitutes could you put in there to create your own personally unique display? That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to find out. That's what I want you guys to tell me about. So folks, thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you see here and you want to see more, then join the 6-1 Clicks by clicking the like, share, and subscribe buttons. And if you want to go one step beyond in supporting the channel, you can do by going over to patreon.com/displaying model behavior, just like these fellows over here. Throw a few shekels my way, I really appreciate it. Or you could get yourself a YouTube channel membership. This is a new thing I'm kind of trialing. You get the same benefits on both things, so let me know how that kind of works out. I'd like some feedback on that. And finally, if you want a badass model behavior t-shirt, you can get one at teespring.com. The link is in the description below. But beneath, my sponsor link for Boxu. Go check them out because I'm really happy to be working with those guys. Wow, I ran out of breath doing all my shilling. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, keep displaying model behavior.
Chill. Yeah.
Tom Holland and Andrew Garfield and I want to say Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, and Tobey Maguire. Oh, jeez, Louise. Oh, that was tough.